Hey guys, Aerial Photography here, back with another video. As many of you know, the DJI Phantom 4 was released just over a week ago. And it's in the hands of a lot of consumers, and there's a lot of new features in it. So we're going to kind of just spend this time talking about what's changed.
Yeah, so first we'll go over some of the specs of the Phantom 4, just in case you don't know, and then we'll compare it with the Phantom 3 and kind of talk about how we feel about them, if it's worth it, and all that kind of stuff. So to get started, let's just talk about everything that the Phantom 4 has that's new. So probably some of the biggest stuff are the battery, and the new functions that come with it, and the speed. So it has a new max speed of around 20 meters per second in a new sport mode, which is about 5 miles per hour more than the Phantom 3 line can go. So just something to weigh if you want something that goes a little faster, if you're trying to track things that are maybe going faster.
And then the other thing, the battery, which there's a lot of hype about, is supposedly bigger, but unfortunately not by a lot. So with Phantom 3 line, you're going to get about 20-25 minutes, depending on wind speeds and how much you're pushing it. With the Phantom 4, you're only going to get 28 minutes, is what it's advertising, which is a little disappointing considering the size of the new battery. It's a lot bigger than the Phantom 3 line. So I was expecting a little more, but I guess we're just not there yet.
All right, and lastly, one of the biggest changes from the Phantom 3 to the Phantom 4 are the new functions. And these new functions include better active track and a new tap fly mode. And all this is, and it also avoids obstacles such as trees, buildings. And all this is enabled because it has sensors built, or cameras essentially, in the body that give it its own eyes. So separate from the actual camera that's doing the filming, this will allow it to see where it's going and allows it to get that active track, which takes a 3D essentially image of whatever you're tracking. You can set it to whatever you want, and then it'll follow that image rather than the tracking system with the Phantom 3 where it just follows the remote. And the tap fly also, I guess it's not related to the cameras, but instead of using the joysticks to control, you use the camera on the app, you tap where you'd like it to fly and it will make its way towards that. So it's supposed to give you smoother pans and just be even easier for a beginner who's operating their first drone.
Right, and obviously there are still joysticks, you can still manually control everything, but the tap fly is going to be super helpful for kind of taking the element of judgment out of flying. So if you've ever flown the Phantom 3 or pretty much any other drone on the market, you notice that I want to fly it over there, but there's trees and stuff, and it's super hard to tell where it is in space. But with the active track along with the tap fly, you can just tap where you want it to go, and then the active track will model the surroundings and avoid anything that you need, that you don't want to hit.
Yeah, so just recently we flew our Phantom 3 standard in highly dense forest area. It was a clearing inside of a forest, but the forest still took away some of our connection to our satellites. So once we got high enough, we were able to operate it fine, but when it gets low enough, you lose the connection and it turns into ATTI mode, which still enables you to fly, but you lose that control and it starts drifting, which just made it really hard to operate safely and under control. So definitely with the new cameras and the Phantom 4, that would help out in that situation.
Yeah, also if you do a lot of indoor flying, the new Phantom 4 is going to be really good for that, because even though the Phantom 3 line, if you get the Advanced or Professional, it has those extra cameras on the bottom. They're supposed to help it navigate indoor and sense ground. The new active track is just going to model the whole surroundings. So I think that flying inside is just going to be a lot easier and more manageable with the new Phantom 4.
All right, so things that haven't changed between the Phantom 3 line and the Phantom 4 are, there's a couple things that haven't changed, and it's really all based in the camera system.
Right, so the camera itself is going to be exactly the same camera as you get in the Professional. It's that 4K setup, so it's going to be nice and crisp. It's going to look just like the one from its predecessor.
The gimbal also hasn't changed. I don't really know that there's a reason to change it. To be honest, this thing works amazing, and I don't know that there's any new technology that you could build into it. So along with the camera, the gimbal hasn't changed in the new Phantom 4. So the Phantom 4 controller is the same as the Phantom 3 professional controller as well. It has that 2 antennas sticking up. You're able to control the camera in a couple different ways compared to the standard controller. And it's able to fit that big iPad or tablet that you want to view your shots from.
But other than that, there are obviously a lot of changes. It looks a lot different, the battery's a lot bigger, and you have those 2 new modes, so it's shaping up to be a pretty nice, innovative drone. Alright, so with the new Phantom 4, if you haven't noticed yet, there's quite a big price gap between it and its predecessors. So for example, we got this one for just around $500 during the 10-year anniversary sale, which was a total steal. But the new Phantom 4 is going to put you back almost $1,500, which is a lot for a beginner drone. And a lot of that has to do with the technology built into it, with the new modes and the new battery. But this is also a beginner drone. This is super easy to fly. You can take it out of the box and go up 400 feet and get great shots. So we're not really sure why the Phantom 4 is specifically marketed as a beginner drone, like that it's so much better for beginners than the Phantom 3 line. Alright, so the big question is should you buy the Phantom 4? Maybe you've never owned a drone before and you're looking to buy your first one, or you're ready for an upgrade. Well, we don't really think it's worth it for beginners. Even though it's marketed as a beginner drone, we think that the entire Phantom 3 line is just as much of a beginner drone. It's easy to fly, easy to get used to, and yes, the Phantom 4 has those 2 extra cool modes, but for the extra $900, $1,000 it's going to be for it, we're not sure it's worth it. Alright, so if you're looking to buy a drone for professional use, maybe you're a cinematographer looking to expand your angles, well, the Phantom 4 may be right for you, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. One of them is that the camera on the Phantom 4 is going to be exactly the same as the one on the Phantom 3 Professional, and very similar to the one on the Inspire. Now, I think that the Inspire, obviously it's a lot more expensive. It starts around $3,500. That's definitely geared more towards professionals because you get the 2 controllers, one for the video and one for the actual drone. So that's helpful. So I don't think the Phantom 4 is going to replace the Inspire in professionalism.
Yeah, and definitely don't count out the Phantom 3 line as well. You know, again, for $500, a professional can still use this to get great shots and just add it to their bank of equipment. So don't count out any of the Phantom 3 line just because it's now, last year's model.
Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. Hope we gave you some good insight on the new Phantom 4. Make sure to check out our website. There's going to be a link in the description below.
Instagram as well, at Aerial Photography.
And keep in mind, we're going to be coming out with a new edit of the latest footage we've gotten with this guy. So make sure to come back soon.
Great. We are Aerial Photography, signing off.